All right, guys, this is Mobile Gamer Nerd, and we are back with another Raid Shadow Legends free-to-play mystery shard-only video. Today, we're going to be talking about artifacts and stats. Yes, artifacts and stats. Some very important stuff. I had a few people ask about it, and one specific person that really just wanted to see a video about artifact stats and things like that, which ones you use, which ones are good, all that. So, I think this is a big problem that a lot of people will have in this game. They always ask, which gear set should I use? Which thing should I use? You know what's funny? It changes every single time you build a hero and on every single account and depending on which heroes you have and which team you're using where. So this is a confusing question in the sense that there's no right or wrong answer, so to speak. I mean, there's things you can do that are, objectively better, but there's really no major way that you can say to somebody, this is exactly the set you need. So what we're going to go over today is really the basic idea of gear and stats, how you can kind of manipulate heroes, which stats you should be using on which heroes, and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to kind of go through all my heroes and how I have them built. It doesn't mean that you should go and make an exact copy of these things, all right? You can't do that. That may not work, all right? If you copy my account completely, then maybe it would work. But that would take you a year to do, and to match it exactly would probably take you 10 years to do. And even that probably wouldn't happen. That's how random it is. So let's just look at what we do. So there's different types of heroes. When you're looking at your hero, you see legendary and you see attack right underneath it. That means this is an attack hero. That means if you build attack on them, more than likely, not all the time, some heroes are a little bit weird. If you build this hero with attack, they're going to be stronger. Now, if you go to Drex, he is defense. That means if I add more defense to him, he's going to do more damage and be stronger. All right. Then there's also HP heroes, which honestly, I think I have maybe one. We don't really have a lot. Here we go. This guy. So, Coffin Smasher. He's an HP hero. That means by stacking HP on him, he will do more damage. Now, how do you know that that's the case? Well, when you look at their skills, you click them, and as you can see, it says damage based on HP. So, this is a big thing. If you're going to build this guy with attack, guess what? He's going to do no damage. All right. Now, we're going to look over here. Same thing, damage based on HP. This is just a random skill. It doesn't matter. All right. Now, when you build your heroes, you got to build them differently. Now, the thing is the way I build my heroes is the first thing I do before I build anybody and before I put anything on any hero is I look at their skills. That is the first thing. So let's look at Cleo because we literally just got her. She's our newest legendary and how I decided to build her. So when we look at her skills, A1, it attacks one enemy, has a 30% chance of placing a 25% weaken debuff for 2 turns, and the chance is increased to 50% if the target is under Hex. Places a veil on this champion for 1 turn if the attack kills an enemy under Hex. So basically, if you want this weaken to work, you're going to need accuracy. All right, so right off the bat, I feel like accuracy is important on this hero. But let's keep going. It may not be. If you don't care about that weaken and the rest of the kit is different, you may not want to build accuracy. So let's look here. Places a 30% increased crit buff and a 30% increased crit damage buff on this champion for 2 turns, then attacks all enemies. Let's stop right there. This does not need accuracy to work. So we don't need accuracy for that part of the skill. Then, all right, has a 75% chance of placing a block active debuff for 2 turns on targets under the Hex debuff. Now, it's a 75% chance of placing this. Also means that she needs accuracy to make this work, all right? So now, we're going to move on. Places an increased accuracy buff on the champion for 2 turns and attacks all enemies. Same thing. Doesn't require anything from you. Doesn't require anything. It happens. All right. Then it has a 75% chance of placing a hex debuff. Now, from what we just saw from the skills, having a hex debuff on the enemy is probably the main thing you want her to do because it enhances her other one. So if she drops the hex here, you go here, and it's going to block active skills on targets under hex. And then here, it has a chance to increase to 50% if the target is under hex. So basically, we have to have her land hexes to make the rest of her kit work. So that means we need accuracy to make the hex work. All right, next one. Counterattacks with default skill every time this champion loses 30% HP or more in a single turn. Always counterattacks when attacked if 2 or more allies are dead. So that doesn't really require us much, to do. There's not much for me to do as far as building a kit. So what does this mean? It means that we want accuracy. So the first thing I thought about when I was building her is I would like to get her accuracy up high. Now, I didn't get it as high as I might like, but I got it up there. So what we did is she's an attack hero. All right. Once again, let's look at the skills. See, based on attack, damage. First one here, based on damage, is on attack. Same thing here, attack. So all of her skills are based on attack, which means we only need now accuracy, we need attack. Now, what does that mean? It means we need crit. All right, so we have to have crit rate because that's the most important thing. All right, after crit rate comes crit damage. If you don't have a high crit rate, all your crit damage is going to not matter at all. So if you have a 40% crit rate, you're going to be not critting 60% of the time, and you're not going to be doing as much damage with your crit damage 60% of the time. You want your crit rate, basically, I would say, at least at 50% if you're going to get your crit damage up high. All right. And 50% is still bad. So just so we're clear, I'm not telling you to do 50%. I'm saying if you're going to build crit damage, you have to have at least 50% of the time that you're doing the damage. Otherwise, it's not going to matter. I would recommend, honestly, that you build crit rate as high as you can and then add on crit damage whenever you can. And then eventually you'll find pieces of gear like on this guy. See, now what we did here is we looked for crit rate. So we have crit rate on his weapon. We have crit rate 14% on his helmet. Let's say crit rate here on his, see what I mean? It's building up. So that affords us the ability to put a crit damage glove on. All right. In the beginning, or not even in the beginning, just what depends on where you're at and what gear you have. Always build crit rate first, put a crit glove on them, and then once you find stats and gear that has crit rate on it, then you can switch your gloves to crit damage, which is when you're going to start really seeing the damage increase on your heroes, and that's kind of where you need to go. So let's go back to her. So her, unfortunately, I didn't really have all that. All right, let's look at her stats total so we can kind of see where we're at. So she's got 29,000 HP. She's got 4,800 attack. She does have a 500 blessing. So let's just call it 43, whatever. Defense, she's got 2,500, which is reasonable. If you're going to be using any of the heroes late game, you're going to have to start thinking about defense because most heroes are going to die. So unless you have heroes that are really defensive, you're going to have to focus at least a little bit of power on defense. All right. Speed is 184. Speed, I just try to get as much speed as I can. That's it. And then on heroes like support heroes and healers and speed up heroes and increased crit rate and all those heroes, speed is the most important thing. You want to build them as high as you can. So her crit rate right now is 82, which is reasonable. It's not the best. Obviously, you want 100, but it's not terrible. She's going to crit 82% of the time. That means there's only 18% out of 100 attacks, 18 are not going to crit. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's going to suck sometimes, but more than likely she's going to crit. Her crit damage is 202, which is good because now she has a high crit. We can move into crit damage. Resistance, 84. That is terrible. If you're going to be using these heroes later on, resistance to become more important. But this is the gear I had. Like I said, she's my newest hero. So this is just my starting build. Accuracy is at 200. So 200 would be the base. When you start moving into hard dungeons and all the hard doom towers and all that stuff, yeah, you're going to need more than 200 accuracy. I believe the rule of thumb that I've heard is about 10 accuracy for every. Basically, you just want to max the level of the heroes that you're fighting. So if you're fighting 350, you're going to want to try to get your accuracy as close to 350 as possible. That's a little ridiculous for me right now. It would take a lot of work. So unless you're farming gear every day and that's all you've been focusing on, that might be tough. So 2 to 250 is probably reasonable. I think Syl, I have her to 301. So there are some heroes that we can work around. With this kind of hero, you want crit rate on the gloves, unless, like I just said, you have crit rate in your gear. Otherwise, you would go to crit damage. And this is only for attack heroes right now. This is only for specifically for regular attack heroes. I have a defense chest on her. You can build her with an attack chest. It's not the end of the world. Once again, it also depends on where you're putting the hero, which is why no one can tell you how to build someone. If you're going to put her in the arena as your nuker, you're damn right you're going to put attack on her because you want her to go first. You have your speed up, your attack up, and then blam, she just wipes everybody. However, if you're going to use her in more Doom Tower related stuff, in more dungeon content, things like that, you may want to consider having a defense chest unless you have heroes that are really good at shielding, really good at healing, or a reviver. And at that case, it doesn't really matter because then they can protect the hero. They don't need as much defense. Unfortunately, I don't really have. It's actually the weakest part of my account is building healers. I just don't have a lot of healers and support heroes. It's just the way it is with the way that this is going with the mystery shards. I would love to get a great support hero. I just don't have any. So I do have to build her with a little bit of defense. Otherwise, she's going to get creamed and then we're dead. So that's why I have that on there. And then more than likely, almost 90% of your heroes are going to need speed on their boots because the faster your heroes are, the more they attack, the more you can beat things, the quicker you can get your turns in, the quicker you can get your skills off again. And then once you get to a point where your heroes are pushing probably around, I don't know, maybe 200 plus speed each, you're going to start seeing that you can stun lock entire waves almost all the time because your heroes can constantly regen their skills and they can keep doing freezes and stuns and sleeps and turn meter reductions and all that stuff. If your heroes are slow, the enemies are going to get more turns than you, and then eventually you're not going to be able to counter it. So speed is a big deal on almost every single hero. Don't think that you're going to sit here and be like, oh, I have a 3-star speed boot. It's like, get the speed boots, find them, save them, even if they're on from a different set. Honestly, like if you're talking early game, I don't care. If you find a 5-star speed boot, level it up and put it on your fastest hero that you need it for. It doesn't even matter if the stats match or if the sets match. Now, when you do sets, I personally will only do sets. And that's because I'm at a point where I mostly have enough gear. Like, I mean, right now I have 337 pieces and I have about, I don't know, 300 heroes that all have random gear on them. So I can pull from other heroes if I'm not using them. Most of my level 50s, I don't pull from them anymore because I have regular gear that I have built specifically for those heroes. But my level 40s, I don't care. I just pull stuff right off of them. It don't matter because if I don't use them and they're not built, then I'll just steal their gear. But I use sets. This one right here, so the crit rate plus 12, that helped me get her crit rate up to 82 by having these crit pieces on here to the point where I wouldn't have to focus it on her glove. There's a bunch of ways you can do this, all right? So you've got crit rate glove, crit rate gear. You can put all this crit rate stuff on her, and then you can just put crit damage on, see? And then you'll get 12% times 3. That gives you 36% crit without even having a stat on her that has crit. So you can do that. Or you could give her a crit rate glove, and then throw crit damage on her. So now you get 20% more crit damage per 2. So that means you would get 60% crit damage. You see what I mean? So it doesn't mean that, so I wouldn't tell you, hey, you need to use a crit set, all right? Or you need to use a crit damage set. You're going to use whichever one you have and whichever one has the stats that you need to use, all right? It's going to change on every single hero for every single time that you do this, all right? Accuracy, same thing. You could just put accuracy on this hero. You could make this all accuracy. And if you have 6 pieces of accuracy gear that all have like 15% crit rate, then you could put all accuracy on her, put a crit damage glove, and then all your stats would come for crit from the pieces. See, so you can mix and match. Resistance, same thing. If you need a hero that has to have high resist, if you just happen to pull, say it's an attack hero and you need high resist for some reason, if you wanted to, actually, well, a better example would be defense. All right, let's go. Let's look at what's her face, my girl down here. Where are you, baby? There you are, her. I needed her to have high resistance, all right, because the spiders, she was attacking the spiders, and I needed her to have high resist. So what we did is we gave her, see, she has no resistance gear on, if you didn't notice, to none. And look at her resist. Her resist is 242. So for me, that's not bad. I mean, obviously, if you're high end, crazy late game, you have like 700, whatever, I get it. But for me, that's high. So how did I do this? She's got lifesteal gear on, and she's got gear that increases her HP and defense, but she didn't have any resist. So now let's look at the pieces. So she's got speed, which we needed. All right. She's got defense, HP, because these are all her stats she needs. Lots of garbage going on here. There's nothing here yet. All right, so here we go. We got 25 resist here. We've got 36 resist here. See, it's already starting to pile on. We got another 26, 32 here. Glyphs help. All right, big deal. And then we've got a resistance banner because we wanted to make up for it. Now, if I had a bunch of resistance on my hero, enough to make it, let's say 300 or something past the number that I wanted, I could conceivably switch this banner out and put a defense banner on just to get her defense up higher. That's something you can do. So don't think that there's one thing you have to have on every hero. There's going to be certain things that just happen to work all the time, and you're going to be able to kind of mix and match on certain heroes. But with this kind of thing, it's basically going to be on attack heroes. You're essentially, here, let's go back up to attack hero. I'll show you a bunch of attack heroes. So here we go, attack hero. So she's attack. Most of your attack heroes will have a crit rate glove, an attack chest, and a speed boot. That's early game. Sometimes, arena, things like that. You can switch out defense depending on what kind of hero you have. If you have someone like Kale, you can do that because their damage is based more on poisons, so you're going to use them more for long fights. So you want them to be defensive a little bit more because they don't need to do as much damage, all right? It also depends on what level you're at. If you're in low level, sometimes it doesn't even freaking matter. You can literally just wipe the floor with everybody and be strong. And then you're more than likely going to have an attack ring, a crit damage, amulet, and then whatever your banner requires. Now, I didn't have an accuracy banner when I built her, so I just threw the extra attack on her. So more than likely, if I really want her to work correctly, I will be switching this to a accuracy banner once I find one. However, so far, I haven't really been using her, so I don't really know what I'm going to do with her, but more than likely, it'll be that accuracy banner. That's mainly what you're going to do for heroes. Now, her, a little bit different. Her skills She places a leech, which honestly is the least impressive thing about her. She does tons of damage on this hit, which just grants an extra turn. She can hit everyone again. No accuracy needed here. You just attack. And then here, this just removes shield buffs and does extra damage. So she doesn't really need accuracy. So what you can do with her is not put accuracy on her. See, I have resistance on her because I actually use her in the arena and I don't want her to get stunned. So any resistance is good. Any resistance in the arena is good. All right. Now her we have built with crit damage on the glove. All right. She still has a reasonable crit rate. Defense on the chest. Once again, I do that because I want her to be a little more defensive and not get one shot. Her, I may consider switching to an attack chest, be honest, but that's where we are. She's got kind of low defense. Speed again, crit rate on this. We've got crit rate here, and we've got crit rate and crit damage here. Her stats aren't as impressive as my new girl. Actually, they're about the same. 80% on the crit rate, 211 on crit damage. She's got a little bit of resist just so she can kind of swipe off some stuff, and she's got 3,800 attack. So we would probably rebuild her for attack if I had to guess, because actually I wasn't even looking at this. So that's why I was glad I do these videos. I get to see stuff that I'm screwing up too. So I would probably put her in attack chest because I do use her mainly for arena. We don't use her anywhere else. But yeah, basically she's got the crit damage. What is this? This is crit rate. That also gives her a little bit more crit rate on the piece of gear. She does have this set, which is what this is protection, or is this protection? So that gives her more resist and HP. I gave that to her just to kind of give her a little bit of a beefiness to her. Her ring is attack. Her amulet is crit damage with a crit damage substat, which I got lucky on. How nice is that? If it was 6-star, I'd be really excited. But hey, a 5-star with that, I'm cool with it. If I decide to actually ascend it. So, and then we've got resistance because we want her to kind of, not get killed. Now, once again, if you're going to change this up for the arena, you could put an attack piece on it because you're building a go first team and you want to go first. So literally resistance and all that stuff don't matter if you're doing a go first team because you just want to kill them in the first round. So I would put all attack on there, put an attack on her chest, and then put an attack on her chest. So what you could do is that, and now her attack goes from 38 to like 5,000 or 45 or 48, kind of like Cleo, and now she can nuke a lot harder. So that might be more beneficial to you. It really just depends on how you build your teams and what you use them for, which is, I can't say that part enough, that it really depends on what you're doing. So that's enough. I think that's enough about attack heroes. I think I'll show you them as we go, but that's mostly how you're going to build your attack heroes. Crit rate, crit damage, accuracy depending on if they need it. Read your skills. All right. Make a decision, an informed decision. All right. And that's the best way to do it. He needed accuracy. This is your Carl. He's got about almost 200 accuracy. That's about my threshold. Same thing, 80 and over 200 crit damage. And once again, we put him in a bunch of accuracy gear to make up for the accuracy issue. So now we got 40 accuracy on each one of these pieces, rolled for 2 pieces. And then we got a little bit of speed also out of it, which worked out really nicely. And then we got a little bit more defense and stuff from this also. Say the same thing, the resist and the HP. Very important to not die. But same thing, we just did that. And then attack, crit damage, accuracy. Because all these heroes use stuns and freezes and all that stuff. You're going to see that accuracy plays more of a role the further along you get. Let's look at some defensive heroes. So now Syl is defense. Now, let's look at her skills once again. So she attacks one enemy, has a 20% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns, and also has a chance of decreasing target's turn meter. All of that needs accuracy. Let's keep looking. Attacks all enemies 2 times. Each hit has a 20% chance of placing a stun debuff. Also needs accuracy. This revives an ally and puts ally protection. It requires no accuracy. Now, turn meter manipulation with her and stunning is the most important thing. Yes, she can revive. Yes, she heals, which is her passive. Say she can heal as she goes. Also places 30% increased speed on a random ally for 2 turns. Now, she heals at the start of her turn. So what does that mean? That means you can think about things. One, it means you can make her have 500 speed, and she'll just keep going. That's one option. Option 2 is the one that I chose. Relentless, all right? If you don't have Relentless because it's hard to get, then that might not work. You could do this in counterattack. That's something that could work, but that would require you to be hit. So speeding your hero up wouldn't help that. All right. At that case, you would want to just build yourself high resist, high defense, and if you're going to do counterattack, because you want her to get hit. So it doesn't really matter how fast she is. You know what I mean? The speed wouldn't really matter. I would still speed her up, but if she gets hit, she's just going to counterattack and do what you need her to do. you have a higher chance of that happening. But once again, it requires her to get hit. I'm doing it because I don't want her to get hit. I'm playing a different way. So I did the 18% chance of getting an extra turn. I have seen her get 4, possibly even 5 turns in a row. It does happen. Does it happen all the time? Not even close. You're lucky if it happens, but yes, I have seen her do 4 or 5 hits in a row. Just turn meter, turn meter, turn meter, turn meter, and heals the whole team back up to full HP. So that's why I put her in Relentless. I want her to get more attacks, all right? More attacks is better because she's going to heal the whole team every time she gets more attacks. She's going to be reducing turn meter every time she attacks, and then she can get that stun off and basically stun lock a wave, which is very important. Now, her, we built a little differently. This is the same concept. You want to do crit rate if possible. It's not 100% necessary, but you want them to do as much damage as possible. So what I did was I put defense on her glove. All right. But I have the crit rate kind of in other areas. See, so we have crit rate here. We put defense, which is a flat stat. It just happened to be what I have on this 6-star piece. I eventually will switch it. But yes, I wouldn't put a flat stat on here at all. She has high defense. You want to put a percentage. Yeah, I know. Thanks. But she has crit rate here. She has a lot of accuracy. We need her accuracy high. We want her doing everything. Her speed is the boot. Once again, we have the crit rate here. Accuracy, almost all of her stuff's going to be accuracy, resistance, and speed. Like that's kind of where we're at in defense. Defense is her main stat, so the more defense she has, the better she's going to be. We've got her in a defensive ring. We've got her in a crit damage amulet, which I honestly don't know why I did that. We built her 6 months ago, and I really haven't changed her too much. I mean, as you can see, she's still in 5-star gear, but for some reason, she just works the way she is. So I haven't. If a hero works, by the way, don't go crazy. Like build the heroes you need to get through the content, and then if a hero starts becoming not good enough, then go back and rebuild them. Don't just start rebuilding heroes for the sake of rebuilding heroes, unless you just happen to get the perfect set for that hero. That I have done. I think maybe I've rebuilt, I don't know, freaking like 4 of my heroes over the time, and it's really my early game ones because they had all like 4-star pieces of gear. Everyone else, I don't really rebuild unless they're not effective anymore. If they're not effective, then you rebuild. Save your resources. So this is working for me. I don't need to change it. I will change it, but I don't need to. This is accuracy. Her, we wanted insanely high accuracy. We got lucky on a little resistance here. That was nice. I would have taken accuracy too, but resistance is always good. I don't care what piece it pops up on. Let's look at her total stats. Here we go. She's got 39,000 HP. She's got 1,700 attack. She's got 3,997 defense. Like I said, that flat stat is killing her. We could easily get this up to like 45 to 5,000 by putting the correct pieces on her. 178 speed. She's got 65% crit rate. Like I said, I wasn't focused on it. Her crit damage is 130, and that's just because it happens to be on the stat that we gave her. Her resistance is 139. This is really what mattered, was the accuracy, and we need speed. So right now we need to get a rebuild on her for defense and speed just to get her speed up over 200. That's like my now goal. I actually did get a few pieces of Relentless that I could put on her that were a little bit more defensive based, so I can actually build them now, but I was focused on other heroes. So her, we will be rebuilding because it's important. All right. That goes against some things that I just said. I know. No, no, it's not because she's not effective. I just need to get her speed up because it really will help me get through some of the Doom Tower. We're trying to push Doom Tower hard, and speed is it's got to get up. I'm like slowly getting my heroes up above like honestly even 220 on some of the heroes to get through Doom Tower hard. So her, she's the next one on my list outside of, we actually just updated Arbiter to get her speed up. I think we got it up like almost 14 or 15 speed for Arena. So we're slowly getting her up, but now we need to work on her to get her speed up. Now, this is a defensive hero. All right. So you want her defense to be high so she can do more damage. And the good news with defense heroes is that the higher their defense is, the less damage they take, but also the more damage they do. See? So that's when you're going to start seeing some changes in your game. You're going to go from using heroes like, I mean, I still use Kale, but you're going to use heroes like Kale, who are more attack based, but you're going to find that they get killed a lot. All right. So you're going to need really strong support heroes to keep them alive in late game. This is why heroes like this supposedly fall off. All right. I mean, I still use them, but yeah, if you have a bunch of defensive heroes that can do a ton of damage, there's no reason to use an attack hero that does a ton of damage because they get killed quickly. Most of my defense heroes are like Syl. We have lifesteal on him, accuracy, all that stuff. Depends on the hero. Once again, he's got high HP. Same thing, defense. We need to kind of get his defense up. His speed is slow as hell. I should probably build that up since I use him in a lot of different places. So speed would be important for him. He has crit rate and crit damage, but HP burns is really his thing. His whole thing is he wants to get hit. You want him to get hit so that the HP burns get put on the enemy. So speed isn't as important for him because most of his damage comes from that. But he has a provoke. All right, so he does need some accuracy. So that's why we gave him a little bit. But we gave him more resist because we want him to not get killed because he's going to get hit all the time. He's a provoker. So he's going to get hit. He needs to not get stunned. He needs to not get all those things. Even though he still does his job technically, it's not super important. Once again, it just depends on where you build him and where you're using him. We use him in Spider. We use him in a couple of other places. So resistance was important to me. Same thing here. We've got crit rate on his glove because now this is a small little thing that we're going to talk about real quick with gear. Once again, how you build your heroes also depends on what gear sets you're using. All right. Drex is kind of like an anomaly. You could build him in like a regen set. If you build him in a regen set so that he heals himself back up, what you could do is just go full defense on everything. All right. That's an option. However, we build him in lifesteal. So I need him to do more damage because the more damage he does, the more he heals himself back up. So I built him as an attack defense hero, essentially. So we built him in as much defense as we could while getting his crit rate up and trying to get a little bit of crit damage. We didn't have a lot. I basically got his crit rate to where it needs to be. So now the next focus would be building his crit damage, which also goes into your masteries. All right. And that's the problem is everything is a mix mash of things that you need to do. So we got him down into Giant Slayer so that he can do more damage on the hits. When he hits with the Giant Slayer, he actually heals himself back up almost to full health. So it's kind of crazy. And then we gave him a little bit more defense, and we gave him some stuff that can give him counterattacks and removing debuffs, things like that. So you're basically going to be using this in correlation with your gear. All right. So whatever you want your hero to do, you need to put it in their masteries also, which is why a lot of times when you see like this is the perfect build, like this build is the one, like those videos can be complete horse crap because if you're building your team for something different and you're not doing the same things that that content creator is doing, then this probably might not work for you. Which is when I started kind of mixing and matching my masteries with some other videos that I've seen. Like I'll watch someone's video or I'll look online and see what the masteries are that they've done, and I'll kind of just mix and mash it to what I need him to do or what I need the character to do, and I'll move forward from there. So whatever it is you're trying to get the hero to do, make sure you have them do it with their masters also. All right. Now, like I said, with the artifacts and stuff, we want them to do more damage to heal back up. If you don't need them to heal back up because you have a great healer or you have him in a regen set, him doing more damage doesn't help his regen. What helps his regen? His HP, probably, right? Because most regen stuff based off their HP. So you might have to build him with more HP to make sure he regens enough HP. See, so there's just so many variables in this game, unfortunately, that for someone to just tell you that this is the perfect build or this is what you need to do, it's almost impossible to tell someone. So when people get angry that no one says these things, this is why. All right. This is why I can't just say this is the best way to build someone. Like it's the best way that I found to build them for the uses that I have on them. Here's a great example of that. We have a support hero, Archmage Helmet. This guy is an anomaly. Now, from what I've heard, he does insane damage. He's a great damage dealer. All right, his skills are based on attack. He fills the champion's turn meter, all right, by 10% and 20% if it's critical. He attacks one enemy and then stuns everybody after attacking, or decreases the turn meter if they don't get the stun. And then he has an increased speed, increased crit rate, increased crit damage buff, and then he's immune to turn meter reduction. So that's awesome. Now, why does this matter? So when I was looking at him, you could build this guy as all attack, and his gear is all trash, by the way. You could build him as all attack, and surprisingly enough, if you're looking at his gear, you would think that because I have ignored enemy defense, I have attack and ignores defense. I didn't want him for that. You could build him as an attack champion, and that's fine. You could give him the best speed boost possible, give him all the crit damage, crit rate, and he'll do a ton of damage. That is an option for you. But if you're not building his accuracy and everything else, he's never going to stun. I have found that late game crowd control is the most important thing to get through content and not have to worry about losing. If you can stun the crap out of everyone and freeze them and provoke them and all that nonsense, they can't attack you. That's just it. That's it. They just can't attack you. So having him be a stunner was the more important part for me. So what I did is I built him with the highest accuracy I could get. All right. I didn't care about his attack, so we didn't do a lot of attack. I built him more defensively because he is support and he does do speeds up and crit up and all that crap. So we want him to go fast. So over 200, remember, over 200 at least on support heroes, at least where I am, possibly even 250 to 300 if you're, you know, progressing pretty well. Early game, just get it as high as you can. And we got his speed up so he can keep stunning and he can keep doing his crit up and all that so everyone else does more damage. We've got his accuracy at 271. He's one of the two heroes that my masteries match this. See, we went all the way down to Eagle Eye to get that 50% accuracy. I mean, 50, not 50%, 50. Why do we do that? Because we want him to stun. That was why I built him the way I built him. He has 0 offensive capabilities. You can do that if you want. You can go down offense and support and do a mix mash of what I'm doing. I wanted him to survive longer and be stronger and defensive and just get his stuns off. That's all I cared about. I want him to do what his kit allows him to do. And for me, that has been extremely successful, especially in like Doom Tower bosses. And I mean, if you watched my video for the Bannerlord's Crypt, it literally, him stunning was the reason we won because we were able to just attack the boss and stun the ads almost every round. And that's why we won. And he was buffing everybody and speeding everyone up and all that stuff. So him stunning got us through with a bunch of rares and Lord Legionary. So yes, Arch Helmet is awesome. Arch Helmet, Archmage Helmet, whatever you want to call him, Arch Helmet. So this is an example of you can build him however you want. I use him for this. If you used him for something, if you have a better Bannerlord that can crowd control, then you don't need to do that. You could just build him with all attack and then bring that crowd control hero in and you could do the same thing I did. All right. So you can't just say that there's one way to build a hero and you can't just say that there's one thing to do. Like him, like I said, crit rate. He's got crit rate on the glove. That's because I couldn't find enough crit damage stuff yet. It just means that's where I'm at on the account. Until you can find the crit damage stuff and the crit rate on the gear, crit rate glove is just fine. If you're more than likely going to have somewhere between 80 and 100% crit damage on your main heroes in the beginning. That's just life. All right. So don't freak out because you have a bunch of heroes with crit rate and no crit damage gloves. It's okay. All right. You're going to slowly build up an accumulation of gear that can do this for you. What I would recommend for gear, as far as just regular recommendations for all heroes, is find gear that has speed because you're going to start needing it once you start moving forward. This is my apothecary. So I found these pieces of gear over time. So look, 17. So we got 20 speed on one piece. He's got 21 on this one. He's got 26 on this piece. See what I mean? You want these here. So this one we have defense and it's a flat stat. So as soon as we find a defense percent glove with speed, guess what? That's getting switched out and his speed's going to skyrocket again. We've got no speed on his chest. So if we find a chest that has defense at 6-star maybe and has speed on it, we would switch that out and we would get another speed boost. Now let's just say this guy, we'll just say 20 speed. So that means there's another 20, 40-ish speed that we have kind of sitting on the table here right now. There's no speed on here except for the boot, and that is what it is. You can even find speed on some of the accessories. I think I might have one. No, I don't have one. So you can even find speed as a stat here. So now look at his stats. He's at 257. So if I get two pieces with 20 speed on him, I can get his speed up to freaking 300. All right, which is, for my account at least, and what I've been doing, very impressive for me. So that is a big thing. So don't think that you're going to throw away gear that has speed. Sometimes even a crap stat piece with like a flat defense, as you can see on my apothecary, all right, would I use this piece on anyone else? No. Would I consider using it on apothecary if I found something better? No. But I've been using it on him for a year and it's working fine. Apothecary is awesome. So don't just throw stuff out and think that it's not going to be good because this gives him that 12% speed. I may even consider, like, look, I put the righteous gear. Is that what this is? 10% in resist. That's something that I would put on him here if I ended up getting more pieces. I would 100% put it on there because these pieces are awesome. That extra resist would be great. Another 40 resist. Yeah, I'm in. If he doesn't get stunned, he's still healing. So look for speed substats. Look for accuracy substats. Once again, every hero is going to be different. I could go through every single hero in here for an hour and kind of show you. So, but the main takeaway here is I want you to understand that stats do matter. Okay. I mean, I'll show you an HP hero real quick, actually, before I say all that crap. We actually built him terribly. He had, I think, 30,000, 39,000 HP back in the day. All right, we're slowly building him up because he's actually really good for clan boss, and it pisses me off that he's as good as he is. So we're going to get his speed up to insane amounts. We're going to get him to 200 plus speed, and we are going to get him some more HP. So now he's at like 58,000 HP, and his damage has skyrocketed because he's an HP based hero. See, look, skills, HP, and HP. So we want to get his HP as high as possible. So what we're going to focus on for him is getting HP up to like 80,000 if possible. Somewhere in the 70,000 would be fine because he is an attack hero. We have very little things that we need to work on with him. We want to get his defense up at least in the 2,500 range. We want to get his speed up over 200, and this can basically stay where it is. I'm okay with that because we have a lot of stats that we need to work on for him. Accuracy is not super important for him. He does have an HP burn, and he does have an attack down. So we would like to keep this at the 200 range, but it's not. It wouldn't be my first choice, but I definitely like it. And yeah, that's an HP hero. So how do you build him? I mean, crit rate on the glove. Look at that crit rate. HP on his, of course, he's an HP hero. Why wouldn't you put an HP chest on him? See what I mean? And he's going to be harder to kill because he has more HP. And then speed on the boots. Now, this could change sometimes if you have heroes that you need to be slow. Like, let's say you build your Death Knight in Stone Skin, hypothetically speaking. You want him to get less turns if you're going to be using him in the arena because you want that Stone Skin to last as long as possible and piss off as many of these people in the game as possible. You know, when you're killing those new people that have just started and you find that to be fun and it's not aggravating at all. Just saying. All right. You would want to build your Death Knight to be slow as slow can be. Literally zero speed. Because you don't want him to get a turn. You want him to keep that stone skin forever. As long as it happens, right? And that's possible. You could just build an entire arena team with zero speed and all stone skin. It's an option. You know what I mean? It's a dick option, but it's an option. So sometimes speed isn't the only thing you need. So you have to really read the descriptions of your characters. All right, read their skills. If they need accuracy to make their kit work, focus accuracy. If you're using them, we're in a situation where they're tanks and they're going to be getting hit with a lot of debuffs. Focus resistance. If they're an HP hero, focus HP. If they're an attack hero, focus attack. If they are a support hero, could go either way. Read the skills, test the heroes out. Don't go crazy maxing out the gear on them until you've tested out the sets that you put on them. If you have to switch out a couple pieces of gear to do it, it is what it is. It sucks. It costs a lot of silver, but you're going to get the best option. You're not going to waste a bunch of silver leveling from 12 to 16 or even 8 to 16. You can pretty much test a hero out with level 8 gear. It's not the end of the world. You're not going to throw. I mean, if they can function with level 8 gear, then more than likely you're going to get them to function really well with 16. So test your heroes out. Try them out. If you have questions, make sure you ask. That's it. Post. There's like 100 content creators for this freaking game. Post a comment on somebody's video. Ask a question. Go online. Look for stuff. See what happens. All right. These are the things that you really want to look for, and you want to. I just screwed that all up. Right. Yeah. These are the things you want to kind of look for. It's just what the hero kits does, what their attribute is as far as HP, attack, and defense. You want to know where you're using them and who you're using them with. And then which masteries. Masteries are always last. Build their masteries after you've built the character. Because once you see what you've built and why you built them that way, that'll help you build their masteries. Like him, if you want, like Kale, you want him to be able to land poisons. So you get his accuracy up over 200, whatever it is, and then you go to his masteries and you make sure he gets some accuracy from this side and you want his attack up. Done. Problem solved. See what I mean? Masteries last, gear first. So yeah, that's a lot about artifacts and stuff, right? So it's a lot of things to take in, and that's the problem too. Is I could make a video 2 hours long on this and continue to talk about this stuff. So if this isn't enough and there's other things you want to hear about, make sure you ask, and I'll do another video. I'm fine with it. I don't have a problem with it. I could do part 1 and 2 of accessories. That's accessories and stats and things you can do to change things up, and maybe do some fights with them so you can see why I do what I do. So that's basically it for today. If you guys have any questions, make sure you leave a comment like I just said. Please like, share, subscribe. Tell everyone about this channel. I would love it if this channel would grow and we could do some more videos and play some other games on this channel. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Get the podcast moving. I really am having fun with that too. I had to take a week off from it because I've been busy. But yeah, that's basically where we're at. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this. All right. So this is artifacts and stats and some masteries and some things. This is Mobile Gamer Nerd. And you guys take care.